right. Still Wednesday, the 3rd, 2024, and it is 3 o'clock, headed to my last call, which should be about a 15-minute drive. Got to repair or replace 2 faucets. Anyways, I was kind of wanting to talk about a couple words that affect pricing for service work. 2 important words: access and egress. They are what is a primary driver for service pricing. It's also kryptonite for the insurance companies. One of the things I found in my experience with broken down drain lines below slabs, water leaks below slabs, anything that causes a significant amount of damage to a home, either through the course of the whatever plumbing problem it might be, or throughout the course of making the repairs. Insurance companies pretty much never pay to cover the cost of a repair for plumbing. I can't say anything about anything else. I don't know. And there has been many occasions when customers have called their insurance companies and inquired about getting the cost of the repairs covered. And the insurance adjusters pretty much, I won't say every single one of them, or even most, but it seems like a lot of insurance adjusters will just tell them, no, we do not cover the repairs, and not elaborate. And so the customers in general will give up at that point. However, what the insurance companies do cover is access and egress. And what that is everything it takes to get to the problem, to access it, tearing up walls, concrete, tile, ceilings, whatever. And then egress is everything it takes to get everything back the way it was. So if you're on a service call or dealing with a slab leak or anything that's got significant damage, anything that's going to be a significant, require a significant amount of repair work to finish surfaces, or significant cost in accessing stuff. So, access is just basically what it is. It's, if you have a water leak that's below the slab, and it happens to also be below a floor or below a fireplace or something, where you either you can't just get to it, or you got to dig down underneath and tunnel back, or locate it on 2 different sides or reroute it. These different things are that's access for making the repair. So one of the things you could consider access in one of those would be on a water leak below a slab. Generally what we do is we'll isolate whatever branch it is, abandon it, and then reroute it overhead. So in general, access on those are, we don't bust open floors. Generally what we do is we will cut holes in the wall, a lot of times underneath cabinets, sometimes in the ceilings and the walls up high, but a lot of times the actual amount of finished surfaces that need to be repaired are pretty minimal. So in that regards, there's not much. However, access is also creating the pathway to pass that pipe through and to its termination point. So say cutting the holes in the wall, drilling out the walls, and all of that can be considered access. So you can consider that when you're talking to a customer. It's always a good idea to have the customer talk to the insurance company and never make any promises, because especially these days, you just don't know. So that's one of those things that you can talk to a customer about and bring it up to them. And you know how many times I've talked to customers and they had no idea that knew anything about that and had made repairs before, and never, or had contacted the insurance company and they just said, no, we don't pay to fix it. And the person who had done the service work just didn't know either. I mean, it's not like it's our job to know the ins and outs of service of insurance companies, but these are things you can bring with you to the table whenever you're presenting a project, the solution of a project to their problems. Like, yeah, we got to bust up the floor. We got to, we're going to have to pull your toilet, bust open the floor in your bathroom. It's going to be a big, huge mess. The majority of that job is going to be access and egress, not just my work, but just whoever puts all the finished surfaces back too. And you bring that to the table, and you bring that to their attention, and if you're providing a good service, and you're also going to ingratiate the customer, and you're going to look smart. The other aspect of it regarding our price, I mean, it's exactly the same thing, and it's, if somebody, walks up to you, well, it's only you only got to dig down 2 feet deep, and you cut out a 2 foot section of pipe, and it ain't going to cost you more than $10 of material. It's only going to cost you 2 hours to dig it up. Why are you charging me $1,600? Well, no. It's access and egress. Access is everything it takes to get to that problem. It's not just walking to the truck, grabbing your shovel, sticking it in the ground, and digging it up, tearing the pipe out, putting it back together, and slamming the dirt back in the hole. There's a whole lot more to it. You have to account for, access is going to be driving to the job, driving to go get parts. If you already have the parts on your truck, you still got to go drive to the supply house to replace it. So either way, you have to figure for all of those things, all of the drive time, all of the waste, cleaning your shovels, whether or not you clean it that night or not. One of these days, you're going to have to clean it, or even if you don't, you still may, and so you need to charge for that. Maybe you go from one job, one day, same job, exact job, to the next, and there's no point in cleaning up your truck, right? So technically, you're charging the customer for something, but no. I mean, when shit goes bad, you're not upping the price. If it's just nasty, or you got to go clean your shovel up, to go to another job, or it's particularly or whatever it is, So it's also everything. Access and egress is everything it takes to get to the problem. Everything it takes to get done with the problem. That includes everything. And so these are the things that those aren't necessarily. The easiest things to explain to customers specifically. You can get caught up in that. It's not necessarily, from that standpoint, if they're bringing those questions to the table, you really want to have your ducks in a row before you start saying that stuff. Make it real simple if you do, in my opinion, unless you just are really, good at speaking. And if somebody, a lot of that stuff is that's called an open-ended question, and those are questions that are best not answered, because what they do is they automatically put you on a defensive. Why does it cost so much? Well, you really want to answer that question? Well, it costs much of this. Oh, well, I just looked at that on the internet. It only costs $15 on the internet. Whatever that question. So you're getting into that getting in that. You're going to automatically pull up these prices and all the pitfalls and all the stuff that could go wrong, and you're going to bring this long list of a customer and he goes, well, that's not there, that's not there, that's not the problem, that's not the problem. But the one thing you forgot to talk about is the problem, and then you get fucked on the thing. You know, it's best not to even address those. You know, you could do it in general, and you could say, well, it's not just that. It's access and egress. It's everything it takes for me to do the job from start to finish. There's more to the job than just within what I do here. You know, and then if he answers, you're like, well, what is that? Well, it's many things. You know, I'm not going to go through all of it. Or another way to avoid it, or just to have this can be good as a sales technique. You know, if they ask, why is it so expensive? Well, you know, it sounds like you might have some hesitations about, you know, the cost of what you're getting for their money. Is there any specific questions that you have that I can answer? That can get a little complicated, and if someone's a little bit grouchy or whatever, that's a lot of words to spit out all at once, and I'm not necessarily always good at that. One of the things I have done, and I don't always do it, but when I have, it's worked well, is just, well, how much do you think it should cost? You know, or how much can you afford to? And we'll see if we can't get to that number. That sort of thing. Don't get sucked into answering open-ended questions. You know, you could return back with your own open-ended question on, you know, another question, you know, back to it, but that's probably a little gratifying to do, is swat it right back at them. But I don't know, you know, if you're going to do that, you may just save that one for the customers you don't value too much, because it's probably going to be a little hostile. Even just the, well, how much do you think it's going to cost, or how much do you think it should cost? You know, and then that you know, that puts it right back in their court. Well, they have to figure out why it costs that much, or why it should cost that much. And they say, well, I should make it cost, you know, I think it should cost, you know, that shouldn't cost any more than $525. Well, why do you think that? What do you think the costs are? And then at that point, they've thrown out a number though to you, and then you can decide whether or not you want to even move forward with trying to negotiate more, you know, or that will give you their point, that'll give you their set point. You're not ending it at a negative, you know, position. You can say, oh, well, you know, I wish we could do it for that, but unfortunately we can't. You know, this is what we can do it for. And then at that point, you can decide to go down or meet him somewhere in the middle, you know. Or another one too, because, well, you know, I don't know. Let me go talk to the shop about it real quick, you know, and just sit out there for a minute. Maybe call your shop. Maybe ask them some questions. Maybe just think. Just, you know, go over there, or maybe just, I don't know, you know, jerk off to Judge Judy for a minute. Oh, I shouldn't have said that. Sorry. Not sorry. Yeah, and then go back out there and present it to them, or whatever. You know, these are the different things that work. And, you know, it's good to have a plan, those kind of fallback things. And remember, you know, open-ended questions are just so, you know, they're not a good thing to get yourself into. The best thing you can do to avoid those, though, is just get to know the customer. I was just at a lady's house, and you know, one of the things, I was there to replace her kitchen faucet and sink. She got a new sink, she got a new faucet, had to remove the old one and replace it. Things didn't quite go the way they ended very well, but they didn't quite go, you know, not to her liking. I mean, she was real happy at the end, but we had to take some. It wasn't just removing the sink and putting it back in. There was extra charges involved. There was no negotiations or anything like that. Though that wasn't the point. But what she did, when I first talked to her, she didn't have a garbage disposal there, and I just wanted to clarify, do you have a garbage disposal for it? And she goes, no. She says, I'm from Europe, and no, I've never even heard of garbage disposal. She was from Estonia. Anyways, it was a pretty big job. I just kind of, filed that away and went to work. Some people you don't really want to get too nosy with. But, as it went on, I asked her, what part of Europe are you from? And that's what she told me. I've been to Europe when I was a baby. My dad was in the Navy, and we went to he was stationed in Sicily for a little while. So, that's something that I was able to use, though, in that. And it's also, it can be kind of self-deprecating in some ways, because you're not like making yourself out to be, oh, I've been to Europe too. You're like, well, yeah, you could tell them, well, yeah, I actually lived there for a little while, but, my parents, they lived in all the really cool places before I was old enough to even remember it. Anyway, so, you can relate to them in a way that's not like, oh, I've been there too, or one-upping them or anything like that, So, little things like that, if you can just get to know them, let them know that you care about them, and just open that casual conversation. That can go a long ways to just building a good relationship and getting what, building a rapport. Anyway, that's pretty much about that. Access and egress is just one of those things that has helped me a lot. It's only been about 3 or 4 years since I've really even gotten the term, even knew what it was. So, but I found, that's the kryptonite a lot of times for these insurance companies. They're like, oh my God. Anyways, just something to think about. That's one thing I want to say. I'm not, all this stuff is just my experience. I'm not trained in any of this. I haven't been to salesman schools, or, I've had, I went to like a semester at Rose State College and a semester at OSU OKC. And I got a library card, and other than that, hammers, shovels, pipe wrenches, plungers, that's pretty much how I've gotten my education. So, take this as it is. Maybe it's worthless, but it's stuff that I've learned, and it's worked for me. Some of the stuff that I have heard, I haven't been to salesman school, but owning a business, you always have, these, whatever, sales tactics, different things, there's all these things on the internet. If you've got business coaches, they all talk about these sales tactics, and I've looked at them, and some of them are kind of written out really stiff. And the one thing that I've discovered, when I really look at them, when I get back out in the field, I've been back out in the field, it's like, well, that's the crap I do naturally. All it is not a sales tactic. It's just getting to know the customer, getting to understand what they want, what their needs are, making sure that they trust you, and giving them the best option, giving them as much information you can give them 2 or 3 options, let them make a decision. And it's amazing. It's amazing how much that works, but you need to really come in prepared. Is to the best of your ability. Take your time. YouTube and Google. You get into something you don't really know, call somebody, do some YouTube and you Google before you even go up to the job or whatever, if you can get some insight into even what it is. Anyways, I just wanted to, that's it. I make these little videos. It's kind of fun. So I don't know. Anyways, I'm headed to a job. Almost there.